If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. When the Cleveland Browns decided to draft Shedeur Sanders, many fans immediately started dreaming of a bright future with him as their franchise quarterback. The excitement was palpable, with fans imagining Sanders stepping up and taking the reins for the Browns for years to come. However, the reality behind the scenes tells a different story, and it's not as rosy as many might have hoped. First off, Sanders was a fifth-round pick, which in NFL draft terms usually suggests a developmental player rather than an instant starter or future face of the franchise. Adding to that, the Browns had actually picked Dillon Gabriel to rounds earlier, in the third round, which gives a pretty clear hint about where Sanders fits on the depth chart and in the team's plans. The Browns seemed to value Gabriel higher at the draft, signaling that Sanders was more of a backup plan or a project player. So, while Sanders' talent is unquestioned, the Browns' approach to him is much more measured than fans might realize. This subtle but significant draft positioning sets the tone for what Browns fans should realistically expect from Sanders in the immediate future. Instead of the team rushing to hand him the keys, the Browns appear to be taking a cautious approach, treating him as a player who needs time to develop before even thinking about a starting role. Training camp and preseason reports have hinted at this approach, where Sanders is being given opportunities to learn and grow but isn't being pushed into the spotlight prematurely. Zach Jackson of The Athletic recently provided a revealing update that further clarifies the Browns' mindset. According to Jackson, there's no sense of urgency from Cleveland's coaching staff or management to rush Sanders into the starting lineup. Instead, they see him as a talented, developmental-type prospect, which means patience is the order of the day for his growth. Jackson's insight into the Browns' quarterback situation going into 2025 paints a picture that likely won't sit well with fans eager for a fresh face leading the team. He lays out the odds for who might start Week 1, giving Joe Flacco, the veteran backup, a 75% chance of being the starter, Kenny Pickett a 20% chance, and any other scenario including Shedeur Sanders or Dillon Gabriel just a 5% chance combined. Those numbers underscore just how little immediate confidence Cleveland seems to have in Sanders being their starting quarterback anytime soon. In fact, this suggests that the Browns are hedging their bets, ready to explore multiple options, both internally and potentially externally, depending on how training camp and preseason play out. The lack of commitment to Sanders as the immediate quarterback of the future sends a clear message that Cleveland's front office and coaching staff are either unsure of his readiness or don't see him as the franchise savior just yet. At 23 years old, Sanders is still young and obviously has upside, but NFL teams typically don't take fifth-rounders and immediately label them as franchise quarterbacks. The Browns appear to be aligning with that conventional wisdom, opting instead to nurture Sanders as a long-term project rather than a short-term solution. This approach may be frustrating for fans who hoped Sanders would step into the starting role quickly, but it's a common reality in professional football, where patience often leads to better development and longer careers for quarterbacks. Adding to the complexity of the Browns' quarterback puzzle is the presence of Dillon Gabriel, who was drafted earlier and likely shares those slim odds of starting in Week 1 with Sanders. This means that Cleveland's quarterback competition isn't just about Sanders versus established veterans like Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, but also includes Gabriel as a serious contender. The team's openness to multiple scenarios, as Jackson puts it, indicates that no player in this group has a guaranteed path to the starting job. Instead, the Browns are keeping their options open, evaluating who can best lead the team, not just in the short term, but with an eye toward future drafts and acquisitions. This uncertainty can be a source of anxiety or excitement for fans, depending on how they view the potential of each quarterback. Furthermore, there's been significant speculation about the Browns targeting a new quarterback in the 2026 NFL draft. This prospect of adding yet another quarterback into the mix adds another layer to the situation with Sanders. If Cleveland is indeed planning to draft a quarterback next year, it's a strong signal that neither Sanders nor Gabriel is viewed as the franchise cornerstone. At this moment, the Browns seem intent on keeping their quarterback options flexible, which is a smart strategy given how crucial that position is in the modern NFL. However, this also means that Sanders' path to becoming the unquestioned starter is far from guaranteed, and he might need to prove himself over the next couple of seasons. or risk being overshadowed by a new high-profile rookie. This situation puts a lot of pressure on Sanders to perform and develop quickly in training camp and preseason games, with limited chances to showcase his skills. Every snap and every play carries weight for his standing within the team. Browns fans might find this scenario disappointing because they were hoping for a clear heir apparent to the quarterback throne. But instead, the team is playing it safe and strategic. This approach might frustrate those who want to see Sanders given a full shot immediately. But from a front office perspective, it makes sense to allow him to develop without the burden of high expectations that could hamper his confidence and growth. In football, rushing a quarterback too soon can often lead to setbacks or wasted potential. It's also worth noting that Joe Flacco's high chance of starting Week 1 isn't a vote of confidence in him as a long-term answer, but more likely a reflection of Cleveland's preference for stability while they evaluate younger options. Flacco, as a seasoned veteran, can offer a steady hand while the Browns figure out what they have in Sanders, Gabriel, and Pickett. Kenny Pickett's 20% chance suggests he remains very much in the conversation, but Sanders is clearly not the frontrunner at this stage. This layered depth chart shows a team hedging its bets, keeping multiple candidates on the table rather than locking itself into one choice prematurely. In the end, the update on Shedeur Sanders from Zach Jackson signals that the Browns are far from ready to crown him their franchise quarterback. For Cleveland fans, this might be a tough pill to swallow after the initial excitement of drafting Sanders, but it's also a realistic outlook given his draft position and the competition on the roster. Patience and development seem to be the Browns' current plan for Sanders, which means fans should temper their expectations while watching him grow and adapt to the NFL's demands. Whether Sanders eventually earns the starting job or Cleveland moves on to new options remains to be seen, but for now, the Browns are playing it safe and strategic rather than bold and impulsive with their quarterback future. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. In a shocking twist that's sending shockwaves through the NFL community, there are growing rumors coming out of Cleveland suggesting that Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski may have completely lost his cool behind closed doors, according to sources close to the organization. Stefanski allegedly erupted in a heated exchange during a closed-door meeting, and the fallout from that incident could shake the foundation of the team heading into the season. The whispers began late last week after an unusually tense practice session, where body language between Stefanski and one particular player appeared tense, very tense. Eyewitnesses from the Browns facility hinted that the atmosphere turned icy, and a confrontation reportedly occurred shortly afterward in the coach's office. It's the kind of firestorm nobody saw coming, but it's starting to gain traction. Was this just a one-time blow-up? Or is this the beginning of something far more dramatic inside the Browns locker room? Rumors are now swirling that the player at the center of Stefanski's frustration might be a well-known starter, someone whose presence is not just felt on the field but in the locker room hierarchy as well. While no names have been officially confirmed, several league insiders believe that tensions had been simmering for weeks between Stefanski and a key player whose work ethic and attitude behind the scenes were reportedly rubbing the coaching staff the wrong way. Add to that a string of poor performances in training camp and you've got the perfect recipe for an emotional explosion. One former team employee even describes Stefanski's mood in recent weeks as on edge, citing pressure from upper management and rising expectations after last season's playoff hopes fell short. It's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the growing belief that Stefanski may have privately told the front office he wants this player off the roster immediately. While the Browns have yet to release any official statement, the silence from both Stefanski and the player in question is only fueling the fire. Typically, when drama like this surfaces, teams rush to squash it, put out a feel-good Instagram post, or schedule a sudden press conference to clear the air. But not this time. Instead, Cleveland's camp has gone radio silent. No interviews, no public appearances, no cryptic tweets, nothing. And for fans who follow the team closely, this sudden blackout is extremely suspicious. Stefanski, known for his calm, calculated demeanor, doesn't often make headlines for emotional reactions, but insiders say that's exactly what makes this rumor so believable. If someone like Stefanski is losing his patience, it suggests something serious is going down. What could possibly push such a composed coach over the edge? Whatever it is, this story isn't going away anytime soon, and the locker room might never be the same again. Digging deeper into the speculation, several players have reportedly noticed a change in team dynamics since the alleged blow-up. A few beat reporters who cover the Browns daily have noted that practices have taken on a different tone, quieter, more businesslike, even awkward at times. One observer went as far as saying it feels like everyone's walking on eggshells. Could this be the ripple effect of Stefanski drawing a hard line with a player he no longer wants on the squad? If so, it might signal a new era of accountability. In Cleveland, the Browns are no strangers to internal drama, but this time feels different. This isn't a media-manufactured beef or a social media spat. This is allegedly a veteran head coach laying down the law in a franchise that's desperate for discipline and direction. And that, for better or worse, may have long-term implications for the future of this team. Now, we have to talk about the possible identity of the player, though names are being withheld for now. Insiders have started speculating on potential candidates based on context clues. Some suspect it could be a skill position player who's had difficulty adapting to the new offensive schemes. Others whisper it's someone on the defensive side, perhaps a locker room voice, who's been growing increasingly vocal about team strategy. Either way, it seems to be someone with enough status to make their departure highly controversial. And that's what makes Stefanski's alleged request even more dramatic. This isn't about cutting a fringe player or dealing with a rookie meltdown. This is about removing a core figure from the Browns ecosystem. If the rumors are true, Stefanski isn't just making a coaching decision, he's making a statement. A line in the sand, one that could redefine the power structure in Cleveland moving forward. There's also a growing theory that this incident may have been the culmination of months of tension, rather than a one-time outburst. Think about it, training camp is always a pressure cooker. Add to that the media pressure, fan expectations, and a stacked AFC North, and you've got a situation where even the smallest spark can ignite a fire. Multiple sources claim this wasn't Stefanski simply having a bad day. Instead, it's being framed as a breaking point, and enough is enough moment where a line was finally crossed. Perhaps there were warnings. Perhaps the coaching staff had been biting their tongues for too long. And finally, when push came to shove, Stefanski let it all out. The wild part, some are saying the locker room supported him. That this wasn't Stefanski versus the team, it was Stefanski standing up for the rest of the team. That in itself is telling. What's even more interesting is how this could impact team chemistry heading into the regular season. If Stefanski really did demand this player be moved or cut, it sends a powerful message to everyone else on the roster. No one is safe. Not even the veterans, not even the stars, and while that may instill fear in some, others might see it as the wake-up call the Browns needed. This is a team that has flirted with greatness, but constantly finds ways to implode. Could Stefanski finally be taking full control of the ship? If so, the timing is bold. With only a few weeks before opening day, shaking up the roster could either energize the team or throw it into chaos. Either way, the spotlight is now firmly on the Browns, not for a highlight play, but for an internal shakeup that no one saw coming, and everyone's watching. Of course, this all remains unconfirmed. No formal statements, no leaks from agents, not even a cryptic Instagram unfollow to confirm the drama. But in today's NFL, where smoke usually leads to fire, the buzz surrounding this situation is getting harder and harder to ignore. Fans have started posting side-by-side videos of Stefanski on the sidelines, pointing out what they believe is visible frustration aimed at one specific player. Some claim you can see it in his body language. Others point to sideline footage showing tense conversations, awkward glances, and what looks like genuine exasperation from the coaching staff. It's circumstantial, sure, but compelling, and with the internet doing what it does best, theories are multiplying. Whether it's a release, a trade, or just a private dressing down, something clearly happened. And Browns Nation wants answers sooner rather than later. In the coming days, don't be surprised if more pieces of this story begin to leak. That's usually how these things go. First, there's a rumor, then a former player confirms a weird vibe. Then an assistant coach slips up in an interview. Before long, the full picture begins to form. And if Kevin Stefanski really did demand the departure of one of his players, the fallout could be immense. We're talking headlines on ESPN, emergency podcasts, maybe even a Hard Knocks-style drama behind the scenes. If nothing else, it gives us a rare look at the human side of football. Coaches aren't robots, they have limits. And if Stefanski reached his, then it's time to ask the big question, who's really in control in Cleveland? Because if this rumor holds weight, then the Browns might finally be choosing discipline over drama, and that's a culture shift worth watching. Until we hear otherwise, we're left with nothing but speculation, whispers, and watchful eyes. Will the Browns make a sudden roster move in the next few days? Will Stefanski address the media with his usual calm tone and brush everything off as internal business? Or will someone break the silence and give us the real story behind this alleged meltdown? One thing's for sure, this rumor isn't going away. If anything, it's only gaining momentum. Whether it leads to a blockbuster trade, a surprise release, or a public reconciliation, the next chapter of this saga promises to be just as explosive as the first. And for fans who live and breathe Browns football, it's the kind of off-field drama that's almost as compelling as the game itself. Stay tuned, because this story feels like it's just getting started, and Kevin Stefanski might be rewriting the rules in real time. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!